I hit the button, though.
I have also hit the button.
Alright.
I have also hit the backup button.
Nice.
I'm downloading the summaries as we speak. Let's not download this to my collection of indie zines that I've been downloading for tabletop RPG shit. I want to be a part of a zine. Or like a dojin circle.
Well, if you think about it, maybe
dead.
A podcast is a zine. For ears.
Yeah, but like it doesn't exist in physical space in the same way. We're just like ghosts haunting people's earlobes.
But that just makes it more intimate.
I don't know if I want to be intimate with like all those people who watch Ultraman. Let me time that is. Hello everyone, and welcome to Ultra Q, episode 104. My name is Brad, I'm joined by Mel.
When you walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go.
Astra, that's a stick. Red is trapped in Silent Hill. They've been haunted by a mysterious crackle every time they speak, so they're off dealing with that.
Yeah, they've been attacked by the broken microphone alien.
Yeah, hopefully they get the good plus ending and not like the, silence minus ending.
Yeah. Unfortunate, because this is the week that would have been nice to have them here with this batch of episodes. It's okay, they have the summaries at least to editorial.
Yeah. So I got the summaries in hand, but before we summarize, honestly, I'm going to be completely truthful with you. I have almost jack shit to talk about. Combo Breakers next week, so I'm deep in the Tekken trenches. Boy, is that game dog shit right now.
Hey.
I am having not the greatest time, but also I sunk cost. I'm on the road to improving still. Every time I play, I can feel me making smarter decisions, but every single session of ranked that I play, I have at least one round where some nonsense happens that I go, why is the game like this right now? It's bad.
Unfortunately, See the Wolves is also sunk cost in a different way.
Yeah, tragically. I still haven't turned that game on. I don't even know if I'm gonna show up for my pool. I might leave a note to be like, hey, just DQ me. We'll see.
I guess that's a personal freedom.
Yeah, I might just play it for funsies, just to give it a shot and say I did it. But Street Fighter 6 and Tekken are my priorities right now. I've kind of let Under Night go by the wayside a little bit. Virtua Fighter, I'm like also poking away at as kind of like my third focus game, but deep down, I know that's gonna be that's a fucking uphill battle in a way that Street Fighter and Tekken are not. So I'm just gonna take what I can get with that. So. Listen, everyone there is like probably going to be 10 years older than me, and like, the 3D fighting physics are in their bones. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 came out, though, so I've been playing a little bit of CVS2 online.
Nice. I need to get that eventually when it's no lower in price, or I have more money.
Yeah, it's a little whack that Easy Operation Edition. Even though they make it so that in rank you don't have the easy operation, like simplified control stuff or whatever, that's off. All the balancing and bug fixes, some of which were pivotal to old CVS2 competitive play, are not there in the ranked version of that game's online. And that's kind of weird, but I'm just hitting buttons and having fun with it.
Yeah. I believe I've heard notable FGC writer Pat the Flip call CVS2 is like the pinnacle of 2D Street Fighter of that era.
Oh yeah, 100%. It is a dream game for like specifically Capcom fans, though also too obviously the little bit of SNK love. But yeah, you got
despite being half the game.
Yeah, like if you like the Alpha games and Street Fighter 3, like there's a lot in that game to appreciate. I also I played a little bit of Alpha 3 Upper online.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a weird one.
I don't know the deal with Upper. Like I know it's like they
made the custom combos less ridiculous.
Yes. It's like one of those weird situations where like I think it's like, yeah, they fixed a lot of the issues people had with 3, but also it's not the version people who play 3 play, and some of that may be performance issues at the time that they may have fixed in this version, but also like I think it's like it's neat that they have this version as an alternative. It's just like a different way to play the game, especially for people who are maybe just like Alpha 2 is my Street Fighter Alpha kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played Power Stone or Star Gladiator or anything else yet, but I should.
I think the biggest lament for me is like they don't have Rival Schools 1.
No.
And like, unlike like is Plasma Sword the first one or Star Gladiator the second? Which one's
I can never remember.
Whatever. Whichever one's in the collection is a sequel. And I've heard that, like, at least in that case, that's like a straight up replacement. Like, it's just like, oh, they add more characters and it's more stuff. Whereas, like, based on like what I can tell, Rival Schools 1 is just like a different game for Project Justice, and probably it's just like it's a 2v2 game rather than a 3v3 game. So
yeah,
and so I feel like it's like there's more value in it being included in some collection down the road. I mean, I guess they still have like some stuff out there. Like they didn't get like Techromancer in this collection, so maybe there's still hope. But
I still have fond memories of Project Justice being the first round of the last mystery game tournament I signed up for. I kicked that guy's ass.
Some of my locals has been bringing Dreamcast with Project Justice on and off for the past year, and that's been fun. Though I am bad at that game.
Then I got nothing else.
Oh,
how was your week?
It turns out this is the week that I cashed in on some checks.
Oh.
I might have cashed on more, but I held off, and maybe that was wise. But also, if I knew Red was going to die, then maybe I would have finished the other thing. But it's fine. First of all, I'm going to leave this very, very brief because I don't really have much to say. I watched the Dunbine sequel OVA.
Yeah, and that exists.
That exists. I can't tell you much about it. I sure watched it, and it left my brain immediately because it's boring.
How are those flashing lights?
Well,
it's really bad.
It's not Geiger bad, but but yeah, it's you'd think Lich King shot weapon creates an ICBM would be cooler.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Like, I don't think that OVA is bad, but you are, like, it is kind of... You blink and it's done, and it doesn't leave much of an impression.
It doesn't have the sauce that Dunbine has.
No, it does not.
Which is unfortunate, because Dunbine has a fair amount of sauce, even if, like, the last arc is maybe a bit weak.
I still like it a fair amount.
Yeah.
I think of the three of us, I'm the most up on Dunbine.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm, like... if Red is higher than me, but just like, I do have fond memories of that first half at least. And the OVA doesn't have like the protagonist, while being clearly voiced by Sho, is not Sho. He's not him. You don't got a Todd, you don't got a Bunnings, etc.
Yeah.
None of the. Despite the fact that there's like clearly showing me, the Black Knight. He's fucking stupid. Lots of. Definitely has the energy of like Jingle and Kiza. Hey, remember that old thing from like a few years ago? Which I mean, I guess is like our society now. For worse and for worse. But yeah, there's like literally nothing worthwhile saying about that. I said all there is to say on it. So I'll focus on more substantial things. I have finished Sailor Moon S, which is the third season of Sailor Moon.
What does the S stand for?
Apparently, according to the next episode preview, Super.
Oh.
Which I guess explains why the sequel after this is called Super S or Supers. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, this season was directed by Kuniko Ihara, much like 70% of R. And this is the season that introduces fan favorites, Sailor Uranus and Neptune. The plot basically revolves around a new faction called the Deathbusters, who are trying to find the talisman, who's like someone with the purest heart. And Uranus and Neptune are also trying to find it for their own purposes, which puts them at odds with the Sailor Scouts, despite being essentially, on the same team, but they're not. So they start out as rivals. Uranus and Neptune, I'm sure you all aware if you are on the internet at all in any space.
Yeah, they're cousins, right?
Yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feels weird getting, like, I knew this going in, and it's not like it's a bad performance, because, obviously it's good. But it does fuck me up hearing, like, Haruka, who's, like, Sailor Uranus, be voiced by Megumi Ogata. Voice of Shinji Ikari. But yeah, basically, yeah, so the first half of the season is basically, like, trying to find the talismans and getting what's up with that. And, like, the first villain is really boring, but then, like, then after, like, that, you get, like, the next batch of villains who are, like, there's the Witches 5, who are, like, all quirky women who are, like, have their own quirks for doing, summoning the bad guys. Let me see who they are, like... the issue I have is with a bit of a pacing thing, which is something that Precure does differently, which, Brad, you are not an expert on.
No. Insert
bit here. Yeah, there's the what Sailor Moon likes to do is they like to introduce like a villain faction, and then like each one gets like a few episodes to themselves, and then they get died, and then the next one steps up. Get died. Fuck. Stupid.
Get died. No, Get died is good. I'm a big fan.
People get died when they're killed. Yeah.
So like they go in order, basically.
And like what Precure does is like usually, like, maybe some of the older seasons are a bit different. So this they mix up a bit. Like there's a few more in order, but like in Precure usually there's like they have like their regular cast of members who like rotate in and out. Like not rotate in and out, but more like they're all active mostly at the same time, and like kind of last throughout the show, which I think gives them more room to breathe.
Does that also result in them? I'm assuming that means they also get like more interaction with each other. Yes, probably.
That is also like a key part of it, because like usually, most of the time when the villains in Sailor Moon are interacting, it's like the one who's about to die is interacting with the one who's about to succeed them, so kind of thing. So it's a bit limited. But yeah, there's like the first two, Witches 5, are like Let me just get the wiki because I forgot the name. There's like a... Wow, that's useless. There's a Udale who's like... Her thing is like she has a cool car and she like drives onto the scene intrusively with a car and then shoots a rocket launcher to summon a villain, which is cool. And then you have Mehmet, who's like a preppy girl who's like goes to like all her celebrity crushes and turns them into monsters. And they take up like collectively they take up over half the show, which is a problem when the show kicks into its like final act. And then they basically just kill off the others in like one episode in a row each. Oh. And I'm like, damn, they could have paced this better because like it would have been nice to have more of those other three. There's a good bit. Hold on, wait. There's a good bit in when that first one dies. I'm sorry, Red. This is gonna be really annoying for you. Where like they have like the special door where it's like, oh, this is the Witch's 5 door, and then like the first one dies, and so they they paste over the door with the 4.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good bit. I think they do it again, like when Mehmet dies, so they have a 3, but like, again, it doesn't last very long. But then, so anyway, the second half of the show is like the main thing is like they're like Uranus and Neptune are trying to find the talisman because they think about the Messiah is coming or something, and this was some of the odds of Sailor Moon, especially because like Uranus and Neptune are very like utilitarian, ends justify the means. Like it is okay to sacrifice the few if it means like it's okay to sacrifice one person to get the talisman if it means like we can save the world because there's like an impending apocalypse coming. And of course Sailor Moon is like, no, you can't do that, and that's where they get at odds. And this kind of comes to a head when like the second half of the season where we introduce to a girl called Hotaru who's like a sickly younger girl, but like not as young as Chibiusa, but also becomes fast friends with Chibiusa, who becomes her best friend. And secretly, like Hotaru is like the daughter of the leader of the Deathbusters, who's like an evil professor. And she's like within herself is like the Dark Messiah who's going to bring about the apocalypse. Who apparently, like, at least according to like the information that Neptune and Uranus have, like the Dark Messiah is the same entity as Sailor Saturn, which is what Hotaru is. And so kind of the second half of the show is more about like the slow reveal of like Hotaru's real identity, and then sort of like the conflict of like, oh, we have to, like, Uranus and Neptune like, oh, we got to kill this guy Steven, and meanwhile Sailor Moon and the gang, especially because of like Chibiusa, are like, no, we got to save Hotaru and like hopefully win her, find the good in her soul, save her from the dark clutches of evil, and for the power of friendship.
Feeling I know who wins that conflict.
Oh no, it's who can say? It does end up in an interesting place where I'm also like, this feels like certain characters are not going to be in the next arc for a while. But we'll see what happens next in the next season of the show. But yeah, also it needs to be said, this show looks fucking gorgeous. Really well animated.
I was about to say, even like just in this one screenshot you posted, I do like the coloring a lot.
They like firing all cylinders in this show. Like, it's wild. Like, they're cooking. Is worth noting as well, like, kind of apocryphally, Uranus and Neptune are kind of like the template for like what's his face, Utena.
That makes sense.
Like, I believe allegedly the movie for the next season, Super S, was going to be about like involve like a plot involving Uranus and Neptune, and they didn't get a chance to make it. And I think the director Igahara kind of like left kind of in protest, and it was like, well, I'm just going to take this plot and do a different show, and they made Utena with a bunch of other guys. That's so. This so far, this has definitely been the best season, I'd say. Like I have my issues with like Aodemo. She's got more of those villains who feel like wasted potential, but at the same time, it's like what we did get was pretty good. It's definitely like the strongest season so far. It was really like having like the stuff with having like third factional Sailor Scouts who like are on the side of good, but there's like an ideological divide that puts them at conflict with our heroes is compelling and interesting, and it's also not something Precure really does much at all. Precure's a lot more about like we're all on the same team together, and so it's like one of those things where it's like it's good to other things got sauce that other shows don't necessarily have, and it's cool to check them out and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty good. The movie was mid as fuck though. I don't need to talk about it. It was dumb. It was just like some weird shit of like the cat mascot gets a crush on a scientist or something. There's like an evil comet coming. I don't know. It was it didn't have it like the R movie had it. Sad to say.
There's 2 more after S, right?
Yes, there's Super S.
That's what I thought.
Which is the last Ikahara season. That's good. Then that's after that. He's like, I'm fucking doing it in Utena now, and then there's like the final season after that. Which I like it on, yeah. So that's cool, and it's also like, I believe they're only like around like 30ish episodes. Like not like this was like 38 episodes. So like, let's see how many episodes. Yeah. So like let's see. Sailor Moon Super S is 39 episodes, and then Sailor Stars is the final season is 34 episodes.
That's like manageable.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been picking my ass slowly. Like, I kind of stalled a bit on this. I kind of like after R, I was like, well, now I gotta see Neptus and Uranus, and like dove into it like immediately, but then kind of stalled because of school. But then like a friend of mine started like watching around, like basically caught up to like where I was, and I was like, well, okay, I'll just like watch along with them, like not together, but just like at the same kind of pace. That way it helps. And that's been nice, and I'm looking forward to like finishing the last 2 seasons, because obviously as a Magical fan, it's kind of like it'd be weird almost to like not have seen all of Sailor Moon, so it's like good to like for historical reasons, and also just like it's good to just be like, oh yeah, there's a very important entry in like the genre that's good to have like cleared off my plate. And the last thing I have for today, I got a return of an old segment. It has been over a year since the last one. And depending on how you count it, arguably almost 2 years. It's the Sentai Segue. It's back once again.
I was about to say, I have a feeling.
Yeah, I got a feeling.
What was the theme this time around?
I will get to that, because this season, this is for context, this is the one I was doing my own, because I have a few that I've been watching, picking away at with friends. But this is the one that I was working on my own. My previous one I did was Jetman, which is July of 2023, so that's why it's been like 2 years. The one from like last year was a group watch one. But this is the 2006 season GoGo Sentai Boukenger. Can you tell what the theme is from the name?
No.
Okay. Well, in Japanese, Boukenger means adventurer.
Yeah, there's no way I was gonna get that.
Yeah. So this is the theme of this season is adventure serials, which is an interesting.
That's so specific.
Yeah. And this is an interesting one, because it's like let me get the OP for you.
I cannot listen because of the backup recording.
Oh, right, yeah.
This happens every time you post a video clip.
Oops, my bad. In that case, here's just like a fucking like a game into the guys for you.
Yeah, just to see what I'm.
It's a shame because like the OP is just like, oh, here's like the tale of all the adventures. And here's the guys.
Oh, that looks a lot more standard than I thought they would, actually.
Yeah, well,
I think the tire guys may have fucked with my vision of how diverse these designs get, though, perhaps. Because that one seemed a little out there.
Yeah, that was kind of like a weird one.
Because this one, I'm like, I couldn't tell you that they're adventure serial guys just based off of the...
Well, yeah, the main thing is, like, the Rangers and, like, the mechs themselves specifically are vehicle-themed more than anything.
Yeah.
But, like, so the theme of this season is ostensibly... This is first of all, this is a 30th anniversary season. That's a good context to have. This is just like the opening shot of the OP, just as a substitute, just so you have context.
This is some One Piece bullshit.
Yeah. So so to start,
does this season get turbo racist?
No, but I will talk about things that it brushes up against unintentionally.
Okay.
Yeah. So to start off, this season is about... This is weirdly an ultra-coded season, in a way. Where, like, the premise is that there's powerful artifacts and relics around the world called Precious, with, like, these powers, and there's a task force called the Search Guard Successor Foundation, which basically is like, what if you made your Indiana Jones CIA?
Yeah.
For this, like, you know, it's kind of like Ultra Science Patrol coded, and they're like, oh, we have to go reclaim the treasures. They belong in a museum, so, like, you know, these evil criminal syndicates don't misuse them. They go in the wrong hands. And like yeah, so the series is about, like, each episode is about, like, the artifact of the week and the hijinks that causes. And so you kind of got, like, let's see, you got your five guys. It starts off, the first episode starts with, like, there's a team of three, and then sort of like there's like two kind of like rookies who are like basically are thieves in disguise who end up being, like, best and, like, folded into the team kind of thing. Which is kind of fun. And so you have, like, the red is the captain, Satoru Akeshi. He's the guy who's, like, all about, like, the love of adventure. He's, like, not like hot-blooded, like, Genki high energy red. He's kind of, like, more cool and collected, but, like, he's passionate about, like, what he does kind of thing, like, and has guts. The Black Ranger is kind of like the guy who's, like, tried to pull one over in the first episode, but is kind of, like, folded into, and he's sort of, like, his name is Masumi. He's, like, clearly younger, and he's, like, views Red as, like, a rival, as someone to beat, kind of one-sidedly, because it's not, like, really a contest kind of thing. And, like, that's kind of, like, leads to friction between him and Red's, like, oh, our methods are different, we'll never be a true team early on, and eventually it kind of cools down as the show enters, like, its middle stretch, but then kind of comes back in a big way, in a way that I find kind of cool in, like, the final arc. It's kind of, like, pivotal to the way, like, the show goes in, like, the final stretch. Yellow is Natsuki, who's, like, basically Black's partner at the start of the show, and sort of, like, they've been together forever. They're kind of like a kind of brother-sister kind of relationship almost. She has, like, no memories, and part of her conflict, she's, like, the really cheerful, kind girl, and part of her conflict is, like, I want you to find my lost memories. Like, who am I? Who can say what her heritage is? You have Blue Sota, who he's kind of boring. Like, he doesn't have a lot going on. He's a nice guy, but also his backstory is that he's a former spy who probably did war crimes. And I'm like, well, you could have done more of that, maybe. It is kind of funny that that's just his backstory. And then finally you have like Sakura, who's like pink. She's like kind of weird. Like, she's like a quiet girl from her rich family who left her family and became like a commando and now is part of this group. And then halfway through the show, you get like the coolest guy, Silver, who I can probably describe as the cross between a Belmont and Dante from Devil May Cry in terms of backstory.
Oh my god.
Because he's like, so to start off, so the series starts with like something unique, which is instead of one villainous faction, there's like 3 competing factions. Where you have like the High Priest Gaja, who's like the sole member of like basically a Cthulhu civilization. You have the Rion, who's kind of like a dinosaur guy, who's like, oh, I'm gonna make the dinosaur. I'm gonna create the dinosaur civilization on Earth because I hate humans. And then you find out he used to be human and was betrayed by them. And then he turned himself into a dinosaur guy because he was mad at humans.
It's like that fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah,
just unironically.
Yeah, he has a bit of like a rivalry with Red because like he was a former adventurer and then he was betrayed by humans and lost his faith in humanity. That's why he's a dinosaur guy. And then finally you have like Dark Shadow, who's like a trio of like ninja guys who are like they're in it for like they like to capture the other 2 are like in it for like world domination reasons, but the Dark Shadow is like the ninja clan who's like, we're gonna steal these artifacts to sell on the black market, basically. But then like halfway through the show, you kind of get like a 4th faction called the Ashu, who are like a sealed away demon race, and like there's 2 of them who be given robot bodies, who call themselves the Questers as the 4th faction, and Silver is Eiji Takaoka of the Takaoka clan, and his brought into the story is like his family is basically like the exorcist clan who exorcises and seals away the Ashu, but also Eiji is like his mother was secretly half Ashu, so he's got this demon blood inside him, and his angst, and he's like eventually kind of gets brought into the fold as a member begrudgingly, especially when like his priest staff gets like destroyed, and so the Boukenger's like, here's a replacement for your priest staff, and it's a fucking spear in the shape of a metal detector. It's fucking Tokusatsu's great. And so I did kind of like I feel like I have a weird relationship with the series because like I started it in 2023, so it like took basically 2 years for me to finish. And I think I mostly like most of the second half was in the past 2-ish months or so. And like basically the entire last 3 quarters, like basically from episode 30 onwards, I did in like the past week or 2. So in my heart, I'm like, I feel like I like the show more in the second half. I feel like there's a lot more going on, especially with Silver adds a lot to the show that I really like. But at the same time, it can also just be they're fresh in my mind and I watch them closer together, whereas like I watched the first half more spread out because of life reasons. And I don't know how much of that's just like I wasn't clicking with it at the time, it was hard to go back to, versus life just does that to you. And like I was enjoying it as much, but didn't realize that just because like the gaps in between because of other external circumstances kind of thing. It's hard to tell with these things. But regardless, this is why it's gonna be hard for me to fucking talk about FF6 whenever I finish that. But yeah, it's I'd say pretty good. I like where it goes in the end. Brett is not here, unfortunately, so I can't go into depth about how Thunderbird's coded this season is because of the vehicle stuff, but I will, for their benefit, try and post some of them in the chat just so they have something to look at later or now. Just like, all the good stuff.
How do they handle going around do they do a good job of being able to make it feel globetrot-y?
No.
Okay. That was the one part that I was curious about.
Toei sometimes has ambitious ideas and zero resources to try and do them. So they're mostly just going around Japan. Here's the Thunderbird shit for Red.
Oh yeah, those are some vehicles.
I hope they like that. It's definitely vehicle theme, which is kind of cool. Looks pretty good. Yeah. As we say, like, it's not as globetrotty as you necessarily like, but that's also, maybe just what you expect from Toei.
I wouldn't expect.
Honestly, like the one thing I always go to is like Key Ranger, which is like a space opera season from like the mid-10s. Starts out in space, and then they spend like 20 episodes on Earth. Which disappointed me at the time, and then I mentioned when I can finish the show. I was like, you know what, this show's good, especially because they eventually do go back to space for like the second half of the show.
So it's like Gundam. It starts in space, goes to Earth,
yes, exactly.
Go back to space.
Exactly. You're right. It's a Gundam. But yeah, I think the show is good. It's ultra coded, I'd say, because like the SGS feels like a defense team, like a science patrol in a way that's like. Yeah, I definitely postulate that there's like a connection between like Sentai and Ultraman, just kind of like, obvious like foundational genre stuff, and like the robot fills the role of an Ultraman. But like the SGS definitely feels like it fills a role, and also there's some. It hints sometimes the SGS is a fucked up organization, but doesn't really go all the way. And like there's even like a bit in like the last in like the penultimate episode where Sota's like, the SGS always picks like the most brutal option or something. And I was like, I wish he did more of that in the entire show. And that definitely gets us to like one of the weirder aspects of the show, which is like, well, for starters, sorry about this. I'm just kind of like, hard to talk about like long things in a concise way. Where it's kind of like the kind of like thesis that Sota, the Red Ranger, does at the end is not Sota, Akashi. He's kind of like the spirit of adventure is like in all humans, because like all humans have the human spirit is like the ability to dream, and like adventuring is like the power of dreams. And also like the Precious are like born from like the dreams of humanity, and like that gives them the power they have, kind of thing. But I think it's like it kind of touches, falls into like sort of like series where it's like, oh, the gods get their power from human belief, kind of thing. Which I think makes sense when we talk about cultural artifacts. I think that's kind of a cute way of tying things all together. But also, if you don't forget the context that adventure serials come from, which is colonialism, insert extremely racist tint in the comics here. It gets like kind of weird, because it's like, oh, how far do you go from, what's the leap from like the adventure is the power to dream, and the power to dream is like the frontier spirit, etc. Yeah. Or like just the very idea that like the SGS, like an organization, like these cultural artifacts are a danger to humanity, especially because they can be taken by evil organizations. And so we need to go to the places where these artifacts are and take them and put them in our special museum all in one place. And instead of like beefing up, like maybe helping out the security of the places that these artifacts actually belong to. Killmonger voice. And also, maybe there's a problem if we put all of these things in one place and like a villain infiltrates, which means in like the kind of like the last stretch of episodes, they're like, as a last resort, we're gonna blow up the entire vault to save humanity. And it's kind of like, you stole all these artifacts from all these places and then blew them up for humanity. I think that's kind of fucked up. And then it's kind of just like at the end of the show, they're like, damn, we lost a lot of Precious. Don't worry, we'll just find more, because the adventure never ends.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, please, like, I don't know. It's just like, it's a thing where they clearly did not think about it too much, but also it's like a weird way that like the colonial legacy of the adventure serial really just seeps into the very premise of like a show basing around adventure serials, just like, falls into it just like naturally, like, you know.
Yeah.
The idea that like, oh, we know what to do best with these artifacts as like, you know, the Science Patrol, I guess, because, you know, this is definitely like an ultra, you know, Matt would definitely do this, right? As well. And yeah, it's interesting to think about this, where it does feel like, in a way, the fact that he's kind of just fucked up the way also does make me think of Ultraman even more, in a way, especially because it's like, it doesn't realize how fucked up it is sometimes. Yeah, I think that is like interesting. It's interesting thing about this show because it's like, it's definitely a good season. Not my favorite. Like I think I have other seasons I just like more. I think there's other seasons I like the cast more, but I also think the show is doing some pretty cool stuff. It's pretty well written, all things considered. But it also is one where it's like, if you are like someone who has similar beliefs to us, it's very easy to just be like, "Now hang on a second," and like it almost feels like it could be fun to like do a fan fiction of the season that's actually like, let's dig into this stuff a bit more, maybe, because it could be interesting. But for now, yeah, it's, you know, overall it's pretty nice, neat season. I did enjoy it. I'm glad to finally be done it because I wanted to be like, oh, I want to watch other seasons, so please let me just finish this, and it's done. I'll just say before ending, I also watched like their like, each Sentai season usually has like a crossover movie, and because this was the anniversary when it was like, instead of like this was a crossover with the last season, it was Boukenger versus Super Sentai, and it was like the plot's basically like the 5 main team members are like stuck in like the time void by a villain who's like time themed, and so the movie basically around like AG, Boken Silver going around like, okay, I got this folder from like the spirit, like this guy introduced called Akared, who's like, I am the spirit of all of the Red Rangers, and I've got this portfolio for you of like these heroes from previous seasons who I want you to recruit to go help your friends. And it's basically like the first half of the movie is basically a comedy of errors as AG tries to go recruit each of the different members from past teams and basically gets like thrown out and not able to recruit them. Like the Maggiello is a boxer and he's like, please, I want to recruit you. And he's like, please, I'm boxing. Or like Deca Break, who's like the Sixth Ranger of like the Deck Ranger, which is cop theme season. He's in the middle of like doing undercover work, closing a deal with the Yakuza, alien Yakuza, because Deca Ranger is Space Police, go see Power Rangers SPD. And like AG comes in the middle of like the deal and trying to recruit him, and so he just gets thrown out the window. And then there's like they all butt heads even when they get together, and it's pretty good. It's pretty fun time. It's like only 40 minutes. It's not long, but it's, you know, it's a
their concept of what counts as a movie fascinates me sometimes.
This one might be a longer actually. Let me just see, because I have it's 46 minutes. Yeah, like, you know, it's V cinema, like, you know,
that's 2 episodes.
Yeah. Sentai stuff usually doesn't get like as long as Rider does, which is weird that's like that, but it's also, you know, yeah. But yeah, it was good. I'm glad to be done. Would you believe that in the 2 years since I finished Jetman and picked this season via the game I set up, I forgot the rules of the game?
You cut out. You forgot what?
I forgot the rules of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd believe it.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Also, Red isn't here anyway. But it's okay, because I had like I was like, I could have figured out a new game, but also I was like, I had a really...
Have you thought about printing out like posters of each of the different series and then throwing a dart at your wall?
I don't have darts. That's a problem.
Yeah, it'd also leave a hole in the wall.
Yeah, I have knives. I have knives.
Why do you have knives? What are you planning?
Everyone has knives. They're in their kitchen.
They came free with my fucking Xbox.
Yeah. Well, we all know it. Why do you have Xbox? BDS.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I came up with I came up with like two really dumb ideas that I was going to call Operation Tricolor and Operation Red Star, and have you pick between them. But one, Red isn't here, and two, I'm leaning more towards one of them anyway. So I'm just gonna do that, and you'll see next time. But I didn't want to explain it because
I can't believe you invented a game just to throw it out right away.
Yeah.
Who are you, EA?
No. I'm Microsoft.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think we gotta cancel this podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone. This podcast gets canceled in alignment with BDS.
I can't believe that's what the M and Mel stood for this whole time.
Yes. But yeah. Hopefully, we'll see when the next time we're able to do another Sentai Segue, but hopefully it won't be 2 years. I'd like that. I'm done with school at least, so that helps.
There you go. Well,
anyway, yeah.
Is it time?
Yes.
To talk about mirrors and other worlds and keys?
Yeah.
All right. We got 3 more episodes of Ultraman Leo coming your way. Episode 37. It's called Haunted, Devil in the Mirror, featuring alien Mazarus, Kaiju Spectre. While the whole family is out playing with the wind-up plane, Kaoru meets a woman who looks just like her mother. We get a vision of a blank white world where the two play together, with Kaoru calling this woman Mum. Actually, she says Mom. Gen arrives and immediately clocks that this woman is an alien. She runs off and Gen chases her into town, but she disappears into a mirror before he can catch her. At home, Kaoru starts hearing the voice of her mother again. She's in the mirror. Kaoru joins her mum in the mirror world. The only thing Toru finds left of Kaoru is a pendant with her mum's photo. But he sees them both in the mirror world. Gen flies up to the Max space station where Dan says this must be the work of alien Mazarus. Nothing can be done about it. Kaoru is gone for good now. Gen is frustrated and flies from the Max space station down to the sports center where he finds Toru. Toru breaks a mirror and injures his hand. Gen takes the pendant and enters the mirror world, despite Dan's warnings. He has to bring back Kaoru. The mirror world is in the stark gray beach, silent dunes rolling away from the shore as far as the eye can see. So, this looks like the place where they fucking killed Alien Terrorist, by the way. I wonder if it was shot...
You know what else? It is also exactly the same place where they filmed Leo playing with his pet Ron.
Yeah. I also wonder if maybe it was, remember that Mirror Man episode that was kind of in the dunes?
Yeah.
With that one guy wanted to fucking kill a kaiju?
I kind of forgot. Is that the cactus one?
Yeah, that, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
It's kind of like that, too.
They have, one desert location.
Yeah. Somewhere in this empty place inhabited only by crows, Kaoru is playing with alien Mazarus. Gen finds her and tries to rescue her through the reflection of the water, but Kaoru doesn't want to leave her mum, and Mazarus summons the Kaiju Spectre. Mazarus' first mistake is incinerating Kaoru's pendant when Gen tries to show her the photo inside. Her second mistake is sending Spectre to the material world to destroy Tokyo, putting Toru in danger. Kaoru declares that Mazarus is not her mother. Her real mother would care about Toru too. Were you saying something? I feel like I cut you off and started summarizing again.
I forget what I was going to say, but this is a perfect time for me to make a Arrested Development I don't care for Job joke.
No. Mazarus turns into a giant woman with an Oni mask, one for the counter, and fights Leo. Leo summons a mirror using the cape and escapes through it. Mazarus tries to follow but the mirror shatters and she disappears.
Follow Boo, you mean the end of Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah. Majin Buu would fit right into Ultraman.
I mean, she's also a reference.
Leo now returned to Tokyo.
Oh my god.
You okay?
I'm glad God it wasn't your margin present.
Oh, homie, Majin Buu's attacking Tokyo. What are we gonna do?
That is terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue.
Fred Burger. Yes. That's it. Those are all my impressions. Leo, now returned to Tokyo, puts Kaoru down and defeats Spectre. Later, Gen and Dan watch Kaoru praying at her mother's grave. She sheds a tear and remembers her time with Lazarus. The end. We got some cool mirror effects this episode.
Yeah, there's cool mirror effects, and also there's a good shot where like Gen is like blocked with Dan by the cane, and we get like both shots in the two mirrors kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love Kamen Rider Yuki.
There's some cool shots of just like people looking, the classic mirror stuff, looking back at the mirror, seeing stuff that like all the classic mirror world type stuff you'd want from a special effect show like this. You're getting, but
yeah. It's been a mirror episodes too.
Yeah,
I feel like it hasn't been since Ultra 7, which I guess is fitting.
Yeah, maybe not. It's been a minute. We get some. The mirror world itself looks cool. Like they got some killer shots with those crows just kind of hanging out on those like abandoned like post fences and stuff, if I recall. Just in the sand. It looks cool. A lot of good shots of just like people running on or around a dune, and like you can see the individual like little bits of sand falling down, and it looks good. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, I think Japan has like a couple sand dunes, but not a lot.
Yeah.
I think that just quick Google search. The largest ones are the Satori sand dunes, but there's also the Nakatajima sand dunes. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think Japan has like dunes, but they do.
Yeah, is big enough. You can get all sorts
of... It's a pretty big country, actually. All things considered.
Pieces of ecology in there.
Yeah. I think going into the episode was a bit like I felt like, is this gonna be an episode that's good? And it was. I don't know why I had my reservations. I think I just like. I almost feel like I feel like Folk Slop almost made me like just like put my guard up for any episode.
I was going to table. Well, okay. Let's keep talking about the episode, but I do have a thing I think we should touch on that point at the end of it, because I think maybe we are of the same mind, maybe a little bit with how we feel about the series.
Why don't just do it now, because you might. I don't want to just forget it.
Sure. I was gonna go before we even started summarizing the episodes, and again, when Red wasn't here, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll wait till I'm back, and we're doing this in 2 weeks. But I can't decide if the show is dog shit or not. It's such a whiplash.
For me, I think my personal feeling on this batch of episodes is we are so back, and like I thoroughly enjoyed all 3 of those episodes.
I liked the first one of these, I'll say.
Okay, well, I guess next week the next batch is like more of a crossover stuff, so it doesn't hit as much for you. But
yeah,
yeah. For me, it feels like we're kind of back into the mode of like the tone of the show it was at the beginning, and that's kind of what matters for me. Like we get Dan being like really like confrontational and like ideologically divided against Gen, and I think that's helps a lot. Like Dan is just like ready to like throw Kaoru to the wolves just because like, listen, you can't, there's nothing you can do. And I think that's that's kind of like the sauce the show was missing for a while.
100%.
I like all the stuff with Kaoru. Like
I'm happy Kaoru gets her episode. Like it's been a while since she's been the focus of one of these.
Yeah, like she gets an episode to herself, and also like we get. I like that the resolution of the episode is like, I have a brother, and my real mom would care about my brother as much as me.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's like weird that you have like discarding him is clear, like ruins everything basically. Like she gets caught up in like the dream of like, oh, my mom is back, and then like it gets shattered when it shows like all the things that like really matter when it comes to her mother are like discarded, like just in preserving that dream kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really good. I think that Mazarus looks pretty cool. Spectre, I like that it has little weird mirror prism, like prismatic surface stuff on it. I also feel like, though, and I don't know how they would have solved this, when it's moving around, the way that they kind of, like, ebb and flow breaks the, like, it kind of, movement kind of, unfortunately, I think hinders the design looking as cool as it possibly could. Yeah. But, like, if you were to just... If you were to just see a drawing of it, it's like, oh, that's a cool-ass monster.
Yeah, it's cool they got it, like, actually looking like glass shards reflecting. I like that.
Yeah. No, it like, when... I'm happy they did this one in, like, on a bright day, because, like, it really works, I think, for
it is funny. It's a fucking dinosaur, though.
It is. It is.
But, you know, it's got, like, you know, it is covered in, like, you know, reflective material, and that's cool. It just looks...
Yeah, listen, I'll take the basic morphology if they got a gimmick elsewhere sometimes. Sometimes you just need to attach a dinosaur to something, like prisms or a tank.
A tank. Yeah.
Mazarus is cool. I think the fight's pretty cool, actually, between Ultraman and Mazarus, actually, too. I feel bad for Karu.
Yeah.
He's fighting one-handed. She's getting whipped around in his hand, I have to imagine.
I like that he kind of, even though he kind of cheats, I do like that his solution is like he just leaves.
Yeah.
A very ornate mirror, all things considered.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, what else is there to talk about. I think that they balance having both the monster and the alien pretty well. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it feels like it's out of whack, but I feel like the alien summoning the kaiju, it works.
You mean like Alien Shipley?
Yeah. You know, that one's cool, actually.
It is probably the funniest example.
You just fucking shoot that guy. I fucking miss Ultra 7. What a stupid show. Yeah. This is just a good one. I feel like this is kind of what like you said, this is kind of what I felt like I've been missing for a little bit here. So good return to form.
Yeah.
This one was made by director, actually same director as last episode, Sei Okamura, and then written by Shigemitsu Taguchi.
Special act director is Yoshiyuki Yoshimura, and unfortunately, I don't have any design info on these kaiju.
Damn, that's actually kind of a bummer, because this one looks cool.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with this. I hate having this.
I think we're just in the era where they're just, I mean, we say this all the time, but, like, I think they're just, it's not the first few, so, like, so less of this stuff's probably being
and also I think
archived or written about or whatever.
We're also going to reach the point in the future where this stuff is just getting better documented at some point as well, in reverse, kind of like they start caring more. But yeah, it's a shame.
I feel like we're also probably too in that weird, like, obviously these shows are merchandised out to hell and back and were from their inception, but, like, they're not, I don't think they're not gathering production materials up for, like, release in the same way that they maybe were with, like, the big zine culture that they had.
Maybe it shows you Otomo, he's dead. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, Otomo's dead by this point. Like, and I bet that a lot of it is just like, oh, we'll make, like, a cool figure of these guys, and maybe also, not so much like the encyclopedia type stuff.
Also, other things to keep in mind as well, I guess, like, one, the merch focus shifted to vehicles with Taro, because that was what actually selling. And two, also just, like, part of why Leo is dying is the kaiju boom is dying, and so, you know,
people just don't care.
Yeah, the zine culture probably for kaiju and is probably just, like, less compared to, like, other stuff out there.
Yeah.
Why
booming.
Why would I care about the fucking, you know, Ultraman Leo kaiju zine when I could get the fucking cool ass Getter Robo zine, you know?
Yeah. Do we want to go into our big two-parter?
Yeah. It feels weird, but also like there's just two of us, so it is just what it is.
There is just two of us. I feel like I've said all that I wanted to praise this episode for. I don't really got any complaints. I think this is kind of a banger.
I think it was really well executed.
Yeah. So do we want to just do both of these summaries all in one shot?
I think that's just our precedent at this point.
Yeah, it always seems to work out better. Hold on, I'm just gonna real quickly toss this into Word. I don't know if this is gonna come up, but here, Control F, mum, no matches. Okay, we're good.
It's funny because my dad, his parents were from England. Whenever I was growing up, I'd call my mom, he'd be like, "No, it's mum."
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 38, The Leo Brothers versus the Ultra Brothers, featuring Zoffy and some other guys. Thank you, Red. The world is at peace and everything is fine. Psych, the Ultra Planet is under attack. Okay, we need to pause right away.
Yeah.
Mel, what is the difference between the Ultra Planet and the Land of Light?
I actually looked into this a little bit because I was like,
okay,
because this episode made me actually think about it, and I was like, because I started actually noticing, oh wait, they are calling it in the Japanese the Ultra Planet or the Ultra Star, and I think just like the Land of Light's kind of like what is being used more so in the modern day, but I think back then they just called it the Ultra Planet. But I don't think there's much of a meaningful distinction. Like it just like for all intents and purposes, both refer to the Ultraman homeworld.
Okay.
But I think we can use it interchangeably when it makes sense to do so.
Yeah. The Torch of Ultra, or whatever it's fucking called, gets knocked over, and I guess that's like how the planet powers itself, ? While Zoffy and the rest of the Ultra Brothers are trying to do something about that and yelling about some fellow called Babaloo, a guy that looks a lot like Astra sneaks into the planet and steals a big golden key. I wonder what that is. What that key
It's
do?
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, this is the world's keyhole. Whatever it is, the Ultra Brothers want it back, and they're a little concerned about it. Concerned that it was Leo's brother who stole it.
Can I explain it? Because I think I got a better grasp of the dumb lore than I think Red did.
Sure.
It seems like the Ultra Key is like what gives the power or something to the Ultra Planet, and also lets it not fly off course.
That was my impression as well.
I am not entirely sure how this relates to the Ultra Torch, other than maybe the key is inside the torch. But that's about it.
How it relates to the what? Sorry, you keep cutting off.
The torch.
Oh, okay.
Other than being inside it.
Yeah.
Normally the torch is like knocked down by a strange chain weapon from space.
Yeah. Astra's iconic chain.
Yeah.
Astra binding chain.
His new name is Guilty.
Yeah.
At least that's what Zoffy's gonna call him.
I'm halfway to rehabilitating Guilty. She's getting there.
Yeah.
What that key do? Whatever it is, the Ultra Brothers want it back, and they're a little concerned that it was Leo's brother who stole it. The Ultra Planet's orbit has gone a little bit fucked up. The brothers have to duck so they don't bump their head on a sun, and then the planet is on course to crash into Earth. Weird coincidence, but okay. At Mac HQ, everything is going crazy, and Dan sees an Ultra signal in the readings explaining the situation. He grabs Gen and explains that the Ultra Key has been stolen, Ultra Planet is out of control, and
can I also interject something here?
Yeah.
I noticed that for whatever reason, when Dan takes Gen aside to talk to him, they specifically go to a basketball court, which seems to be, I guess, in the space station ?
Sometimes you gotta shoot some hoops.
I guess we established in the finale of Ultra 7 that Dan does like balling.
So, that's that Street Fighter 3, mini game challenge thing where you gotta parry the basketballs?
Yes.
That's what they're making Gen do.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Where were I? Yes. Astra is on his way here, and Gen's like, oh, okay, then problem solved. Me and Astra will save the day, and Dan's like, well, no, Astra stole the key. Gen doesn't believe it, but Dan insists that it's true. Gen, you're his brother. You have to get the key back from him. And he specifically says, my brothers want me to keep an eye on you. And you have to fight Astra and prove your innocence. Great, fantastic. Love that for you, Dan. Anyway, Dan then explains that Astra might use the key as a weapon, and that's bad news. He saw the key being used as a weapon once. We get this dramatic close-up of Dan remembering the brilliant light of destruction as the Father of Ultra wielded the Ultra Key against the planet of evil, Deimos, and then we cut to the Father of Ultra holding the key like a rifle, cocking it, pulling the trigger, and blowing up a planet with a Death Star laser. Now, I am a hater for these two episodes. This moment is amazing.
It was one of the funniest things I've seen. It's so
just
good.
Casually blows up. They Family Guy cut away to the Father of Ultra blowing up a goddamn planet.
He holds the key like a fucking
with a
gun and
keyblade.
blows up a planet.
It's insane.
It's so abrupt. It's one of the funniest things I've seen.
It's like, why did they include this? Well, I guess they so we know what's at stake. That's why they included it. But it's ridiculous. I love it.
I love it.
It's just shot like it's. I feel like there's no description we could give as to how awkwardly looking like the Father of Ultra is holding it up to. Like, you might think of it as like, oh, like Ava Unit 1 hold like aiming the sniper rifle against.
No,
like,
think of it more like a 1920s gangster holding a Tommy gun.
Yes, but like also too, it's a little too heavy for him, and he's kind of like leaning back awkwardly, like
because he's pointing upwards in a 45-degree angle too.
Yeah, like he's like it looks clumsy and it's great. It's fantastic. As the planet of Ultra,
he's got that shot locked down.
He does. As the planet of Ultra approaches the Earth, the gravitational effects start causing crazy floods and earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Lots of reuse footage.
Yeah.
They were really proud of that one tsunami that just kept paying dividends.
It's a good tsunami.
It is a good tsunami.
It's a good few shots of the Earth splitting apart and buildings falling into the crevice.
I think the special effects are on point in this episode.
Yes, no, that I do special effects like tokusatsu stuff wise. I think these episodes are doing pretty good. Now, it should just quickly be noted that Gen knows that Astra is in space on his way to Earth. You have to bear that in mind every time in these two episodes Gen goes looking for Astra by running through long grass yelling, Astra! Dan finds Gen in the middle of doing this and is like, Astra is on his way here. I'll psychokinesis him and you grab the key. Astra lands, Dan hits him with the psychokinesis, and Gen goes, now hold on, or now hang on a minute, leave my brother alone. Astra fights off the Ultra Brothers, and Gen fights Dan. Eventually, Gen turns into Leo and joins Astra. Astra doesn't say anything about why he has the key. Before anyone can figure anything out, OG Ultraman steps forward and says, Leo, stand aside, we're going to kill your brother.
Yes! Yes!
The Earth between the two sets of brothers falls away, leaving a schism between them. The Ultra Brothers leap the gap and attack. Leo declares that he will defend his little brother, even if it costs him his life. The brothers hit him with a combo Spacium Beam, and Leo goes down. What will happen? Find out next time on Ultraman Leo. The end. Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 39. The Leo Brothers and the Ultra Brothers. Time of Victory, featuring the Dark Alien Babaloo. Leo's fucking dead, nearly. Astra starts cackling like a villain for some reason and goes to shoot the Ultra Brothers with the key. Ultraman King appears, destroys the key, and then he's like, now I know I didn't just see all of you nearly murder the guy who could be the 7th Ultra Brother. I know none of you would be that stupid, right? He reveals that Astra has been Babaloo this whole time. Babaloo gets chased off, and King sends the Ultra Brothers off to do something. Unclear what. King invites Dan to the Ultra Planet, and Dan declines, saying he would rather die with his second home, the Earth. King thinks Leo feels the same way. King calls him 7 and corrects to Dan and then leaves. Okay. I like this bit a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I like that Dan at this point is like, I actually feel more like this is my home than the Ultra Planet is.
I think there's also, we'll talk about it, but I think there's also good character stuff in the second episode in general.
Yes, I'm just a big fan of how all three of these episodes have been with Dan. It's good.
It feels like a return to what we wanted.
Yeah, it's a course correction for sure. Yeah. Back to the sauce we had at the beginning.
Yeah.
environmental disasters continue to befall the Earth while Babaloo runs around at human size, generally going, heh. I can't actually remember the laugh, but I just went, heh, because that's my default sicko laugh.
Yeah.
Momoko takes care of the injured Gen and tells Dan she's managing to stay calm because the situation is out of her control. She's doing all she can. The Mac director calls Dan. They have a plan. So Dan flies from Earth into space to Mac HQ, and the director tells him the plan is to use a UN bomb to destroy the incoming planet. A Mac officer says they heard a rumor. It's the Ultra Planet. And I'm like, motherfucker, where? Who told you that? The director says it's just a rumor. Dan begs him not to launch the missile.
It'd be funny if Dan was spreading rumors.
Yeah. Dan begs him not to launch the missile. What if the rumor's true? The director says no, we're going through with the plan, though he prays it isn't the Ultra Planet. Dan is left alone in the room. Gen wakes up and Momoko fills him in. He says he has to stop this madness, and he flies from Earth to the Mac HQ in space. He confronts Dan about this betrayal of the Ultra Brothers, and Dan says he's not Ultra 7 anymore. Oh, also, Astra was innocent. I've just found his signal in space. He's chilling in some ice. Gen chilling in some ice.
Yeah.
Good one, Red. Gen listens to the signal, cries, and immediately flies off to melt the ice. He and Astra head to the Ultra Key and fix it with the magic beam. Babaloo turns big and gets into a big fight with the Ultra Brothers. Astra grabs the key and takes it to the Ultra Planet. Leo defeats Babaloo. At the last minute, the Ultra Planet turns away from Earth, and the day is saved by the Leo brothers, no less. Later, Dan tells Gen that the Ultra Brothers want to invite Leo and Astra to join the team officially. Gen accepts gladly and is like, Astra's in space right now, I'll go tell him, and immediately starts running through long grass yelling, Astra! At the end.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say, I feel like my big beef with these two episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a lot of obfuscation of information for our characters that I think would be more interesting if they were more in the know and like actually had an actual disagreement or argument to be settled rather than it being things that they weren't fully in like aware of, or in the case of Astra, I actually think this would have been a lot stronger of an episode if Astra maybe had a reason to steal the key and do something rather than it being an alien who is an imposter.
Yeah, I do think that is true. I do think it'd be more compelling. However, I do think everything else of the episode, just in these episodes, does elevate it to banger territory, just because it's going crazy, basically.
There's a lot going on here. I wish we had a little bit more moments like original Ultraman just stepping forward to be like, what the fuck are you doing? We're gonna kill your brother. Get out of the way. So I wish there was a little bit more of that energy.
Here is something I have to reveal. The clip of Ultraman 74 saying, we're gonna kill you, is something I knew about going into the show. It's kind of a meme.
That makes sense. It's worthy of being remembered in that way. It's funny.
And so I'm kind of like, what is the context for this? And it being like, it's equal to the evil alien is obviously let down, but also Ultraman going straight full on, we're gonna kill this motherfucker is great.
Yes.
And delightful.
I like that moment because whether they intended it or not, it does speak to Ultraman's ruthless nature.
Yeah.
Similarly, I feel of the same mind with I think Dan and Leo get it best here, where they Dan gets to have that little conflict, and again, I kind of wish he just was aware full on, like, hey, I have to, like, I wish it was more of an active decision of, oh, I have to choose between saving Earth or saving the Ultra like, you know what I mean? Like, I wish that was more of like a choice he had to struggle with rather than like it being a little bit unaware to him.
Yeah.
But I do like that like he does wrestle with that. The acting's really good. I like that there's a little bit within there. I do feel like Leo choosing Astra over the other brothers is also good and in character. Yes. I do wish he was maybe a little more like, I feel like we get the bit where he's talking with Astra about like, hey Astra, why are you doing this? And he's just clearly not responding. I wish there was a little bit more of our protagonist like wrestling with, well, like, hey, what's going on here, instead of just like defaulting to him for the sake of it.
Yeah, well, I will say, like, in his defense, there's like no time.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like stuff that's being like pushed along by like the planet's gonna crash now. We don't have time to talk about this. It's kind of like he's kind of has to make gut impulse decisions where he think about it as much as he can, and also he does get knocked out. So that's my defense at least. I do think I don't disagree. I just it doesn't injure the episode as much for me. I will say as well, just looking back around, like the fact that they didn't know Astra was in disguise does at least speak to like they were just, even if it was Astra, they were just like, oh, fucking kill this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think the fight choreography is pretty good all around, and like all the fight scenes.
The fights are good.
Yeah, lots of good fights, lots of like multi-ultra on ultra action, and of course the tag team fight with Astra at the end. I want to speak to Dan as well. That's a really like subdued segue, but yeah, I think it's really interesting and good what they do with Dan in his two-parter, where it's like you have Dan really like he's like, my second home is Earth. I want to defend it, and also my duty as Mac Captain is to defend Earth. However, I'm also Ultra 7. All my family and friends are on the Ultra planet, and I want them to be safe. And like to like his fellow Mac officers and to the chief, he tries to plead to save the Ultra planet, but he can't actually do anything about it because of just like the institutional setup. Like he can't change their minds, and he can't reveal why, and he can't reveal why he knows it absolutely is the Ultra planet. He can only be
then
like,
the jig is up.
Yeah, but it is. I like as well that that Gen confronts him like, you as Mac Chief are betraying your home planet, and like instead of like explaining like what he did to the others, he kind of like flips. He puts on the persona of like being the Mac officer. Like, well, as I'm no longer Ultra 7, I am the chief of Mac, and therefore I have to put Earth's safety before the Ultra planets. Despite the fact that we've seen the opposite of him with the Mac chief, and I think that's interesting. And like just showing like how conflicted he is, and how he sort of, in some ways, like also is like resignedness to what's going on. And I also like this as well because in the 6th episode of Ultra 7, we had Pegasa, and it's a fun parallel where Dan was in like a similar position as like, as Ultra 7 in the Ultra Guard, and is like saving Earth versus this alien planet.
Yeah.
And like he couldn't save that planet because like the situation is bigger than like one Silverbrain could fix. In this case, like it's kind of like it's his own planet, and also he can't transform himself even if not like I could really do anything. And so he's just kind of in a worse position where he's like he has to protect his second home against his first home because of just like he's kind of locked in like the bureaucratic system of Mac, and just like, well, I have to follow orders. I can't really change the situation. And I guess it does speak a bit to like the difference between Ultra 7 and like the franchises is now, where like well, conveniently Leo can just like free frozen hostage Astra and save the day. But also like it's not like they were going to actually blow up the Ultra planet, like
No.
But I do like the stakes, and like just like we go back to kind of like the apocalyptic stakes of the earlier part of the show, while also having the divides, like not just like the conflict between Dan and Gen, but also like it extends to the Ultra Brothers themselves, even if it's contrived, obviously, because of Babaloo being like, oh, I'm pretending to be Astra, and it's all my secret plan to turn the Ultra Brothers against each other. But you think even counting for like, because there's a grief which I'm also just giving them more leeway, because like, well, it's more than it's more than they've done in lots of previous seasons. They're still figuring out how to write television, I guess. Like it does like work for me just because like it's very heightened, and it's all like going back to like a lot of the big set piece stuff that we had before that I liked. And also it's all ridiculous. It's like crazy.
This one does go all out.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I'm just kind of struggling with is truly increasingly the Land of Light as a concept, or the Ultra Planet, I guess now, just feels so fake to me. because like.
Oh, but how could you say that? They even show us they have like schools and that school bus.
The school bus.
The school bus showed up in this episode because they reused the footage from Taro.
Yeah, like it's just this increasing amount of like adding shit to the pile of like how this place works and what it's like that feels. And I don't want to be like canon brained about it, but like I think more it's just a matter of. I feel like. If it was a little bit more consistent in the past and I had a better idea of this and like it increasingly feels like something where they're adding shit to the pile in the hopes that it sells well with kids and like they care about it. And like Ultraman King shows up here and I can see an alternate world where I'm like, yes, Ultraman King's here to like save everything. But I'm just like, it's this fucking weirdo again, you know? Yeah. They cut to the Ultra Mother towards the end for a split second too.
I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, and it's just like, she's here too, I guess. But that
was also reused footage.
I believe it. It feels like it. It feels just kind of spliced in there.
Yeah, I think...
But I think that's where I'm landing with all these crossover things, is because I do agree with you. I like the Dan stuff a fair bit. I like Dan and Gen, I think, get pretty good stuff to work with. Mostly Dan, I'm on the side of here. But I think the more that we get the character-centric stuff for these is where I'm finding my in with the big crossover events and stuff like that. Like, even like the last one we had where Go kind of got some good play. Yeah. I liked a lot, too. When it's getting a little bit more like
Avengers?
Yeah, when it's getting into like the broader cosmology type, like they just introduce a planet of ontological evil that gets blown up in 5 seconds and never discussed again. Now, like, what are we doing here?
To be fair, Ultraman would think of enemy planets as ontologically evil.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, I believe it.
Of course, that's because the writers also think this.
Yes, but I wish that they. I think at some point this will get better, just because there's gonna be so much stuff.
Yeah,
and
I think just like this is a weird thing to say, but I think it's just one of those things that they kind of get better about in future decades that are not the 70s, when the mode of storytelling in television is just different.
Yeah, I guess the other thing that I'm starting to get nervous about is like part of the fun or excitement of these sorts of episodes are. It's the old guys I like coming back, and we get to hang out with them a little bit. And increasingly, I feel like I'm getting diminishing returns every time they do that, because they keep adding more guys and more stuff, and it's a lot of stuff that I just don't feel like has always had the strongest footing or strongest setting, or even, like, when they do have the cool guys that I like, I don't really feel like they give them the room to really... be active participants.
I think also part of this, like, what is the key difference between this and the Go episode? Two. One, Hideki Go himself actually shows up.
Yeah.
And two, he's the one guy who shows up. And in
not
this,
everyone.
Yeah, and this, when it's everyone, they kind of only have time for, like, I guess except for, like, the one dinner party two-parter in Taro, where they had the picnic on the beach. Like, this is, like, kind of like, most of the time when they have like all the Ultra Brothers, it's mostly like they've been in their Ultra forms. We haven't really got a chance to have all of them in their human forms. So we don't get like we don't get Go or Hayata in this episode, for instance.
No.
So also but worth noticing, Taro does not fucking show up.
Nah, he's on vacation. He's like I'm chilling out somewhere else right now. Worth noting, kind of to the point of sometimes there's too many guys there. Red did cheekily title this featuring Zoffy and some other guys for episode 38. I did a Control F for Zoffy in the summary. While Zoffy and the rest of the Ultra Brothers are trying to do something about that and yelling about some fella called Babaloo. That's it. That's the only reference of Zoffy at the beginning of the first episode.
We didn't talk about the fact that they just appear out of a foxhole on the ground like a fucking clown car parade. It's the funniest.
Yeah, that does happen.
Like, this episode is like full on like heightened in both like the stakes, the apocalyptic stakes, and also like just how ridiculous it kind of, and that's why also like it works for me. It's just like it's so like extreme that it's kind of just raptured me. And of course also like the dance stuff works. Like obviously I would have preferred if like there was like less cheating with like Babalu and stuff like that, but it does ultimately work for me just because it feels like both like it's going crazy, it's going all in, and also we do get back, we're still in the more that like early Leo mode again, like we got back to that tone again, and with the more good Dan content. I think that's why it does work for me in the end. And also,
I'd say I'm a soft dislike, not a hard dislike on this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do wish, for all the reasons stated, because there's obviously a big pivotal memetic episode as well. I do wish this was not the week that Red's mic fucking died. But it's fine. We'll get their take.
Sorry, you keep cutting out. I think Discord noise suppression is fucking
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying because of like this episode being it is a shame that Red's mic died this week specifically. But looking forward to their takes next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while just because of the memes. Like that was like the one clip I knew from Leo. It's just fucking Ultraman going, "We're gonna fucking kill you," and I'm just like, I need to know why. And that's also why, like, between this and like the thing I was spoiled about next episode, because that's the next episode is the one I was spoiled on from the production history stuff.
Oh, okay.
It was based on this sort of stuff that I was kind of like, it was a thing that was kind of like carrying me through Focus Up. I was like, okay, I think we may see a return to at least some sort of like earlier energy in the end game, and so far, at least in this batch, we've seen that, and we'll see how it will be for the last stretch of the show, because it's basically like we got 12 episodes left, I think.
That sounds about right. Does this go to 51? Yes, it does.
Yes.
I just took a peek at the next page of the booklet.
And at this point, it is like the show's going to end in 12 episodes, and it's not going to extend or anything. It's just going to end, and we're not going to make any more Ultraman, so we can just do whatever the fuck we want, I guess, is probably the headspace they're going to be operating on.
I think I lost you.
Fucking... Jeez, this is so annoying. But yeah, I was just saying, like, we are in the point where they were like, for a little bit during the Focus Club era, they're like, are we going to end the show early, or are we going to go for the full 50? And now the full 50 is locked in, but we also are locked in on the fact that there isn't going to be another show after this, at least for like 5 years or so. So at this point, I can't imagine they don't care as much about pandering to the ratings, hopefully. And they're kind of more free to do whatever, which may be why they're probably like more comfortable just going back to this early mode, because like they pivoted away from this tone specifically because of the ratings, and now that the ratings are just like this moot point, they can just fucking go crazy, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird because we're also far enough into the show where I'm starting to like try to figure out my feelings on it as like a whole piece, and I feel like this is the first one where we've gotten this late into the game, and I'm still kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot about this show I like. There's also a lot where I feel like at this show's best, I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah, they have a vision. And then at this show's worst, I feel like I'm voyeuristically watching a man drown. You know?
I remember in like episode 1 or something, such a certain email or something, or at least he told me DMs, it's like, it's going to be clear why this is like, why they need a break after this. And I think it is very clear at this point why they need a break.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that they had to make compromises in the middle of the show. But I definitely feel like this is gonna be one of the ones where like it's not gonna be for another couple of weeks when I see what they're planning for the end game, the last stretch of the show is gonna be. And see how that landing is, because I feel like it's gonna like really inform how I think, because like it's really up in the air at the moment what the plan is for the last stretch.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like it's gonna be weird because it's also gonna be like which Leo is gonna live in my head after. Yeah, that's gonna be highly contingent on what the last stretch of the show is gonna be.
See, that's my thing too, because I've been thinking about this a lot, because we started strong and then it got real weird real fast with like how inconsistent the show could get. And I am wondering, because like we're deep enough in that I am like, is a really strong start and a really strong end and a really fucking weird middle, like how, and to your point, I do partially think some of it's going to be like how strong is the last batch going to be of like,
because a good ending can do a lot.
It can, but also too there's enough in the middle that I'm like,
that's the thing. Like, how much of the middle is like, can you ignore in your mind's estimation?
Exactly.
That's the thing that's important for you pondering.
Yeah, and it's hard for, because I feel like I've said this before on this podcast. I am that person that 100% is like, the thing as it lives on in my head, I feel is more important than my individual experience of watching the thing. Like, if it gives me enough to like think about and noodle, like even like I said, I feel like Return of Ultraman is kind of that way for me, where when I think about Return of Ultraman as a whole, I think maybe in my brain even it's a little more elevated and sanded down of the some of the rougher parts that show can occasionally rub into, just because weird production stuff. But
confirmation from chat, Red is enjoying the thunder slop.
True.
Look at that hanger. Sick. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. I just need to get the live update.
No, it's fine. We needed the live update. I don't know how I'm gonna feel, because if I'm gonna be honest, the version of Leo that currently right now kind of lives in my head is, oh wow, there's some weird martial arts training stuff, and Dan is a fucking weirdo, like, asshole man who's beating the shit out of Gen and he's sad about it. But then there's like a lot of, oh, you guys are just throwing stuff at the wall and there's no artistic like that's my problem with when Leo gets bad, is I almost wish them struggling to keep afloat and like throw shit at the wall was more bold and weird, but instead it's like painfully safe and trying to cash in on former success. That was the part that I'm struggling with.
Well, that was like the poison pill of Ace as well, right? Like, Ace. Well, we didn't care for it even at its most experimental in bolds, because it was only half committed anyway. But like, when I threw it all out to be like Diet Return of Ultraman, right? And and like Leo trying to be like get the ratings back was just basically trying to be like Diet Taro.
Like this we have discovered the panic response of this current era of Subaraya is what did best for us last time. Let's do that again. Burn any, like, you know, just like burn the earth that came before that we set up. Like just recreate the past thing at all costs, which it's rough.
This is like kind of like the problem of like you're doing a 50 episode show where you're like making it as you go and you're dependent on like the sales of the toys and the merch ratings, etc. You know, it's like the issue that ran into with Hibiki famously in the future too. And it's, you know, it's because we're still like a few weeks out from like Folkslop. That's really hard for me to tell, because like it's been like basically the past few weeks has been like trepidatious. Like, are we back? It feels like we're getting more of the stuff that we liked in the first half, but is it enough when, like, you know, 13% of Leo was the Folkslop series, and that's, you know, seven episodes out of 51. And there was still like messiness before that with like some good stuff in the mix in between, really inconsistent. And it's just like a matter of like, how is this last stretch going to be? How's this last like month of our pod going to be? And when all is said and done, what's going to live large in our head? And the answer's going to be different, you know, when we finish the show immediately versus like a year from now. And it's basically a question of like, is the Leo we're going to think about the one where like we're constantly thinking of like, oh man, I like the car and I'm going to kill you, Astra, etc. versus are we going to think about like how much we fucking don't like that they killed Alien Magma for stupid reasons.
I will say, no matter what they do, I do feel like this is going to probably have a leg up over Taro in my personal ranking.
That's
the more I've sat on Taro, I almost remember none of that show, I feel like, already. It's just like, it did its job. It was pretty good at doing its job, but like, I remember the final episode fondly just because of how kind of weird it is, but still good. And also stuff like the weird monster, like making the food and the like the rice cakes and stuff, and some of the weird sillier stuff and the weird amount of vor. But vast chunks of that show I could not recall if you pointed a gun to my head.
It's weird because I was also debating it, but I also think now that you said it that you're probably right. Where I'm like, do I like Taro more for being consistent? Even if it's like, there's like, it isn't necessarily going for the flavor I like as much. Whereas Leo is like taking bolder swings at the start, has a lot of missteps as it tries to go back to kind of a diet Taro mode, but also still like in the final stretch seems to be coming back around a bit. And that flavor is what I like more. And that might put it over the edge for me. Like I don't know where it's going to place. Like
I think Taro, there's a strong argument to make, like you said, much better made show.
Yes,
but also it was not taking the big swings.
Yeah, it was like it was like the one show of this era where it wasn't on fire and they just kind of did what they wanted all the way through. But it's also like, not. It's just like well executed and not like especially like compelling necessarily. And like I guess think about it, I think I am probably like going to be ended. Like I obviously see like if they shit the bed in the last episodes, that'll be a different story. But at least if it's like if this is the current trajectory right now, then at least I think it'll probably be over Taro, and I guess will it be over Return for me? That's a harder question, but also probably not for you, I assume.
I probably not. Yeah. I think Return is like a whole nother level still for me, unless this last batch gets fucking ridiculous. But I don't know.
I mean, I will say, at least the title of the next episode is like, damn, that's crazy. So look forward to that.
I didn't even take a peek at it.
Don't.
Well, I'm gonna need to look at it anyways because I need to look at the booklet for who made these episodes.
Yeah, well, I guess if you see it, you see it, and if not,
well, I saw it.
How's that?
It's right below there. That's
What do you think about that?
Well, we'll see how that goes.
That was I'm gonna tell you that's the thing that was spoiled on the production history, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Huh. Well, I wonder how I'll feel about that.
I'm just gonna say for the audience who is following along and maybe isn't peeking ahead, that's a swing, isn't it?
So yeah, I guess I should say episode 38 and 39 were both directed by Shohei Tojo. You may remember him from the Marucci episode of Return of Ultraman.
Yeah.
As well as a few episodes here and there of Taro. And then the writer for the first episode was Bunzo Wakatsuki, and then the writer for the second episode was Shigemitsu Taguchi.
So for me, special extras Nobuo Ijima, Babalu or Babaru. It's hard to tell what like the localization is correct. Like all the subs we're using, even the official ones, use different romanizations from each other and also from Super Ai's own promo materials, which.
Oh yeah, I just noticing the booklet says Babaru.
And also the official ones aren't necessarily ones that actually make sense from the perspective of like an English speaker.
I wonder what the etymology, like what are they even going for? I can't even.
Babaru is designed by Tetsuo Osawa, modified from the alien magma suit. I'm gonna tell you, I've definitely seen this guy before in the future, but for some reason, I thought he was the same guy as Alien Valky, and I realized that he's not.
Oh.
I like that chain. That chain weapon's cool.
The chain's pretty neat.
I like that, like, in the fight, you have, like, Leo uses the chain to, like... He lets himself be caught by the chain to keep Babaru down while Astra is, like, clawing to the key. And then he, like, uses like Babaru's own like wrist blades to cut the chain. I
don't know how I feel about the hair. It kind of bothers me.
Well, yeah, that's always an issue. So it's a couple more trivia. Just so one, yeah. Did I say this was modified by Team Magma? Not Team Magma. Alien Magma.
Team Magma? All of this to catch Groudon? Really?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest, the first time he showed up, I was like, wait, is that Magma? So yeah,
you know it'd be cool if it was Magma and they didn't kill him.
It kind of should have been Magma, yeah.
It's just one of those things where, like, it feels easier to say in hindsight, I think, obviously, but also, like, come on. Anyway, first of all, as I alluded to, the line "we're gonna kill Astra" was shocking and controversial at the time, partly because the hero says it, and also, like, it's kind of just direct, no euphemisms.
Yeah, they don't say destroy.
Yeah, even though it's also, like, the stakes, it kind of makes sense. According to the wiki, it's kind of noted that, like, this iconic line, which is kind of mimetic, written by Bungo Wakatsuki, who also wrote the Starband Gyaran episode, which famously is the other iconic line for 7, which is, the Sad Marathon line. So that's a fun thing to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess he just has it.
What was the original? What was the sad?
It was like because like this Starband Gyaran was the one where they used a nuke to blow up the planet, and I forget the specific line, but it was like about like the running in the Sad Marathon. And he was watching the routes on the.
I vaguely recall this now.
Yeah. It also seems that this episode. So it seems that when figuring out what to do for the last stretch of the show, they ended up doing this, and maybe it was for budget reasons, but they considered doing like an intergalactic war with like the Ultra Brothers fighting on like a big saucer throughout space. And this 2-part is basically like a remnant of the original pitch that didn't end up going through.
If the show just pivoted to being all like this, it'd be wild. I don't know that I'd like it, but it'd be wild.
Will they ever revisit this idea in the future? Who can say? I say.
Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. There is no way there's not a kid watching this that is like, at some point we're gonna get the fucking space opera show. I feel it in my bones.
I'm not gonna say the specific thing that was said, but hopefully we'll be able to enjoy that at some point. If it happens.
It's gonna happen. There's no fucking shot that it's not happening in the future.
If it does happen, I won't spoil where it is, though. But anyway, that's what I got for trivia.
Do we have... Wait, color timers?
No, that's the after the episode's done.
Fuck!
I also want to say, I think it's delightful that they specifically... The planet Ultra is being nuked with specifically a UN bomb.
Yes! Yes!
I'm just like...
It's such a... I feel like in the past when they've done stuff with this, they've called it like, oh, we gotta fire the mega rocket or so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like something. And this time they're just like, UN bomb.
Yeah. That's the thing missing from Modern Ultraman. It's like the UN is not bombing other planets.
Do you think that's what they use the Macuranium for?
Maybe. It has to be, right?
Yeah.
It's this UN bomb just feels like the kind of energy in like a Gundam show.
It does.
Do we have anything else to say about this episode? I'm just trying to think. Like,
no, yeah.
Oh yeah, one more thing. I think I kind of like. I like that you have Momoko taking care of. You have the scene with Momoko taking care of Gan, and Dan's like, "You're acting pretty chill for the fact the planet's gonna end."
She's like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah, she's like, listen, I can't do fucking shit about that, so I may as well take care of like the people I care about. And I think that's cool. Like, she's relatively calm. She's by Ken's side because she's like, well, the important thing is like, if everything's gonna go to shit, I may as well be by the side of the person I love, and I like that.
Yeah,
it is weird that like the kids are not in this episode. But
I don't think they'd want to show them being terrified. It's probably a lot for.
They're also juggling a lot of plates. So I guess like if they had to pick on like one character to like zero in on with the relationship again, it's a Momoko makes the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall a lot of my beef with this and also other previous crossover stuff we've had in the past just basically boils down to well, I guess not really the other ones in the past, but this one is like I wanted more of an ideological divide, and I just think that understandably, when making a kids' TV program, it's a lot simpler and more forgiving to just do stuff like, have it be imposter or misunderstanding or whatever, or not even really misunderstanding, but just like, you don't want always to have the heavy weight of wrestling with that when you're making stuff like this, and I get it. I'm curious how hard. So here's the problem, because I bet in the future we will get the twisted Ultraman made for the audience that grew up with this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I already know we kind of have gotten stuff like that with, like, the Ultra 7-bit that we watched. That was, like, a modern...
Yeah, like the 50...
like, revisitation.
The bonus thing.
Yeah, like the short.
Yeah.
And I'm curious... So here's the problem with stuff like that. Is I always think that those have really cool possibility to, like, take some of these ideas and then also, make them a little bit more mature and a little more catered to an adult audience. But then the other problem is that way too many times they just make it twisted in the bad way where it's all fucked up and edgy and kind of stupid anyways. But I do hope we get the more considered version of this in the future at some point as like a fun little thing for the old fans. That would be neat. Yeah.
I'm in a position where I'm like, I've seen a lot of like the shows from like the future, and I'm like, both like, I am not going to say stuff, but also like, even if I did, would I be able to accurately tell you, would I be able to give you an accurate description of like that? And like how it would, if I did, would we feel different after actually watching it? And I'd be like, oh, actually I was wrong.
I would just rather go into it blind.
Yeah, I'm not going to for that very reason, because like I feel like it's more fun for all of us to be obviously I'm not blind, but I think it's more fun for you two to be blind. I don't want to spoil that, and I also feel like it's more interesting because I think just by doing this stuff, but both because like the distance of time, but also just like the process of doing this stuff, like my engagement with those shows I've seen is just going to be different, and I'm going to feel differently about them, and I think I'm looking forward to that.
Are there shows that you feel like you're going to have a 180 of opinion on already, even having gone through all this old stuff? Or maybe not even as extreme as a 180, but have you watched enough of the old stuff at this point that you think you're going to be feeling differently one way or another on some of the stuff you've watched previously?
I think it's hard to say. I think I might be, my relationship to like the post-10s, like the 2010 seasons might be different, just because like I feel like my relationship to like the legacy content is just gonna be different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if like I necessarily feel differently about like the 90s stuff and the mid 2000 stuff, but also I will say I'm very much looking forward to talking about those shows.
Okay.
And I definitely like I'm really curious to see what you and Red's opinions of them are, because I feel like there's like obviously like Ultraman is Ultraman, but I also think just this spoiling this bit, but like I think they're just doing different things because of a different era, and I think that's gonna be exciting for us.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this stuff comes back and what it looks like in a new form after it's gone for a bit, because right now I have like a sandwich of knowledge where old Ultraman and modern Ultraman are the crust, and then I have a mystery meat in the middle, which is the 90s and
it's 2000s. Weird too, because you have like, the modern Ultraman is informed by like a decade straight of like new generation Ultraman, and then there's like the weird 90s and 2000s stuff in the middle. I'm excited because like currently according to our schedule, Tiga is supposed to be around next year, so we're gonna be up to that era. It's approaching like kind of fast in a weird way, but also not too fast. So it's gonna be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I'm ready to leave. I am so fucking ready to leave the show era behind.
Yeah, I feel bad where I'm also like, obviously we have to watch 80, and like we're gonna loop around to like the anime eventually when that's it's translated. But there's a group which I'm like, it'll be nice to be on the other side of 80.
Can I tell you, just based off of the fact that they didn't follow up on it seemingly in the way that you think they'd follow up on it, and the fact I have never heard anyone in their goddamn life talk about Ultraman 80, I am like fully predicting that show to be absolute dog shit. That's just like the vibe I get from 80. I'm so curious to see what I don't know anything about what it's like. I'm assuming it's called 80 because it was in 1980.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea what to expect from that show, but I have a feeling that maybe it was a stinker.
It is 50 episodes you have to get through.
Woo!
It's alright, we'll get to it.
I think a lot of this is also just like, and I get why they'd maybe do this from a production standpoint, but the fact that it is the one show of this era that did not get the Mill Creek Steelbook treatment does make me go like, I wonder.
I will say that's the third time you said that.
Yeah.
I will say that technically I think like in terms of like grouping the Showa era, like this is technically paired with the Ultraman, but also as an anime, and it's weird.
They do just kind of feel like the two other things that happened in this time period.
Yeah, like if you're gonna break up the Showa era into like 3 eras, which makes sense, you have like Q, Man 7, then second you have Return, Ace, Taro, Leo, and then finally you have Anime, and then 80.
Yeah.
And then we get like their interregnum. But yeah, exciting times ahead. Well, we'll see.
Do we have color timers?
Yeah, we have a lot.
I believe it.
Episode 37, 4 minutes, 24 seconds. Episode 38, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. But that continues over for 1 minute, 13 seconds in episode 39, so consolidated for Leo, it's 5 minutes, 16 seconds. In episode 39, Leo also has a second one that's 6 minutes, 2 seconds. For the Ultra Brothers, 38, Zoffy is 21 minutes, 37 seconds. Ultraman is 21 minutes, 36 seconds. Shinman is 21 minutes, 33 seconds. And Ace is 21 minutes, 32 seconds. In episode 39, this continues for about 2 minutes, 45 seconds for all 4 of them, which means consolidated, Zoffy is 24 minutes, 22 seconds. Ultraman is 24 minutes, 22 seconds. Shinman is 24 minutes, 18 seconds. Ace is 24 minutes, 17 seconds. And finally, we have Astra, who is, frozen ice. I'm only counting him in the second episode, because I'm like, well, the color timer is really only going in the second episode. And that's when the beeping's going. He's silenced in the first episode. So he's 60 minutes, 37 seconds in episode 39, and then he's like shows up for 4 seconds at the end. Speaking of which, Yuri's footage, Mother of Ultra and Father of Ultra are both 3 seconds.
Whew.
Just be stupid. Anyway.
Then that takes us to emails?
Yeah. First of all...
Well, I guess we should ask.
Well, we have one.
Is it better to wait until Red's back?
We've answered emails when you haven't been here.
You never asked how I felt about... No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I don't mind either way.
First of all, I got a DM from Citrix earlier today.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been emailed in a while. He says he can't be arsed to write an email right now, but he shall say episode 37, which is the one you liked this week, was one of the most underrated episodes in Ultra history. Does not get the flowers it deserves like ever.
I agree. That's a good one.
And he also says next week's going to be one of those Mel, what the hell happened behind the scenes this time kind of week. So, look forward to that, I guess. I got to do some research.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
Well, no, we're going to do recording next week.
I thought you were recording for, I thought you were doing Golden Kamui next week.
We're just doing both, I think. Unless Red argues against that.
Oh. I thought you were doing Golden Kamui so that we'd push back Ultraman to when I was back.
We can talk about that.
Yeah. Either way, I don't mind. Whatever you decide.
I'm kind of like either way, because I'm like, one is probably more reasonable, and the other is like, well, I'd like to finish the show sooner. I'm impatient. That's just a me thing. We'll see. Anyway.
I don't mind either way. Y'all can decide that.
Editing Red here. Golden Kamui only next week. That is 5 volumes of Golden Kamui only for Detour Quarry. Takes us up through volume 11. no Ultraman Leo next week. Those, if you've already watched the episodes, well, you're a week ahead. There you go.
Anyway, next we get an email from Cross Zeta. Hello, Cross Zeta here. Welcome to the final stretch of Leo, which is 37 to 51. These episodes are very dear to my heart, as they were the only episodes of Leo that I saw when I was younger. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But also, at least you didn't see Folks Flop. Lilio Brothers two-parter was also an introduction to the concept of fake Ultra. I guess, yeah, we technically get the fake Ultraman for a little bit here.
It should have been Zarab.
Upon rewatch, this two-parter was good. I did pop at Ultraman telling Leo they needed to kill Astra. I hope you enjoy the rest of Leo. Thank you very much. Also, I guess you can't watch this because of the backup, but Crossada did link this to me, and I didn't watch it. I was hoping if Red was here, we could have live reacted to it, but I guess that's probably not unreasonable in the circumstances. Because I didn't watch it.
I will say, people on podcasts reacting to video, the audience will not say. Sometimes not the best podcast material.
Yeah,
but I know that's feedback we've gotten in the past, but
yeah, but also I think it's mostly been for the images.
Yeah, images are fine. I think video it takes more time.
I think the only time we've really done that is for well, most of you have only done that for Ultra Fight and Red Band. But yeah, just can you describe the thumbnail of this video at least?
It's Ultraman pointing at, I believe that's Leo
and Astra,
with Leo having the Wario hat on and Astra having the Waluigi hat on, and Ultraman has the Mario hat on.
Yes.
And then fucking Alien Barbecue or whatever the fuck his name is in the
yes.
upper right.
Yeah.
Babaloo.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email.
Hi, Editing Red here. Thank you for your email.
Thank you for your email.
Do we got a second?
No, we don't.
Oh. Yeah. I think we did a podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully Red can escape Silent Hill in time. I'm gonna be gone next week. I'm gonna be hitting buttons on an arcade stick and a not stick, leverless controller, playing fighting games.
I will be here recording something. At least our schedule is we got Golden Kamuy and Ultraman, but if Red decides to not, then that's fair. Because ballot point. But you'll get something.
Well, I thought part of the reason we decided to do the other stuff was to break from the Ultra stuff.
Yeah, but also our thinking, which I guess is a moot point for next week anyway, was we could record Golden Kamuy before you woke up as a bonus.
Oh, that's funny.
Because we were both awake before you are.
Yeah, that's true. Listen, I'm out late Saturdays. Not always out late. Sometimes I'm just at home staying up late.
The party animal here.
Yeah,
that's why they're the most bougie.
Going outside is not a class thing. I'm sorry to inform you. Actually, I don't know. These days, sometimes going outside requires stupid payments because everything sucks these days.
Yeah, it's loitering unless you go to a place and buy stuff.
It's true. I went just the other week. I was downtown checking out some of the local shops and stuff and having a good time. So, I theoretically might be joining a Pathfinder game on the local hobby store, which I'm curious how that goes, and I hope those people aren't weird. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Anyways, plugs. You can find me everywhere at Be Invoked. That's BEINVOKED. Mostly I'm just hanging out on Blue Sky these days, but also I have a YouTube channel. Probably not going to have anything up because, focusing on fighting game stuff right now. But maybe when I'm back, I kind of want to hit the grindstone on doing some stuff that may or may not involve YouTube. So,
Hello.
Mel.
You can follow me at DeCrowns on Twitter and Blue Sky. We have an email, ultraqpod@gmail.com, and we have the Coffee Ultra Q Fund. And of course, our podcast is Ultra_Q on Twitter and Ultra Q without the Twitter, without the underscore on Blue Sky. That's QUE. You can probably find Red's accounts pinned in the description. Yeah, that's it.
I think that wraps it.
Yeah. A clean 2 hours.
Mr. Alien Planet Clean 2 hours.
A simple and clean 2 hours.
True. All right. Have a good one, everyone. See you next time around.
Later.
Goodbye.
Walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. You're a gift.